world of GT racing returns to Australia. GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS, rolling into the second round of what is shaping up to be an utterly compelling championship. The busiest man at Sydney Motorsport Park is Greg Rusty's run up from pit lane. It's busy down there, it's busy up here, and it's about to get busy at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Great vibe in the pit lane too here, Rich. I mean, great place for competitors to come and race. I know over the years Sydney Motorsport Park hasn't always had the greatest of raps, but when you talk to riders, when you talk to drivers, they all love coming and competing here. And we're a series that celebrates enthusiasts. And what we have here with SRO and GT racing, this is the perfect place for it to showcase these cars, isn't it?
Round one of the championship was at another great location, the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit in Victoria, and it was one hell of a weekend. What a sight it is. 8 different manufacturers, 9 models, and a brand new year for monochrome GT4 Australian launches in Phillip Island. And there's a huge moment on the exit of the final corner, and we'll end up gently nerfing the tyres, and we'll get away with what could have been a massive, massive accident. But we're underway for race 2 in monochrome GT4. There's dramas around, and Spin Campbell with a big moment in the Ford Mustang. 3 different brands, all fighting for the race lead. 7 minutes to go.
Is that Cavalieri?
It is. And the Nippies Audi is on top on Sunday at the Island. The Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit put on a show, and Sydney is doing the same today. Picture perfect conditions, a little bit of cloud. I tell you what, and you're probably feeling this more than I am, in the lane, when the sun's out, it's actually properly warm.
I am an idiot. I've been running around. I just need my beautiful Storm Tech shirt. I love the jacket, but don't get me wrong, I don't need it right now. So I love what you've done with the place. The place looks incredibly green at the moment, and what a roll-up we have. And to have this fellow here as a part of it, I mean, Brock Feeney, Ryan Wood, I mean, you know, it's so cool to see a bit of a peppering of that calibre of driver in our field.
Yeah, it really elevates. The Pro-Am fight this year is unbelievably competitive, and there's an argument to be made. It's stepped up from last year. There's our little buddy, Thomas Randall, as he left the commentary box having called First Focus Radical Cup with Christopher Stubbs. The message was firmly, don't come back unless you put it on pole. So there's a little bit of pressure here, I think, for Thomas in the Gaia Valmont Racing Tagani Motorsport Mercedes AMG.
You use that line occasionally, which is they are annoyingly good. He rocked up for a piece of content with us this morning, nailed it in one take. Run off to do a bit of that. He's been very good with his commentary today. He's as both a character and commentator, a very good part of our team. What an array of cars we have here. You can see some of the Mercedes AMGs to the right of your screen there. We talked with Tony D'Alberto earlier in our coverage today about the Lamborghini and having that as a part of the mix as well. And they feel a bit more at wall racing. They're a little bit more confident this weekend, shall we say. They didn't quite have the car for the Island, and this is a home track for them for wall racing. Nice to see them with a bit more spring in their step.
Yeah, I spoke to Adrian Dietz yesterday. He's just lobbed in from London where he was on some business, so he is very good to go this weekend, and Tony D'Alberto, I'm sure, will be fired up. Let's go down to the lane and get the vibe before the session with Chris Stubbs.
Well, the vibe is a little anxious down here. I was just outside Tom Randall's Merc AMG just before, and nowhere to be found is Marcel Zalua, his co-driver. So perhaps Marcel is a little anxious and not wanting to see what Tom's going to do with his car. But in the meantime, Sam Brammer is alongside me and Antonio Estudi as well, two guys that we've seen in GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. Sam, you're also here with the Ferrari shirt on as well, wheeling and dealing and looking to get back out there, I would have thought.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm coaching in the Ferrari Challenge Series this season for the most part, and obviously, missing being on track a little bit, but at the same time, it's cool to be involved still and still be at the track, and it's a really, really good atmosphere with the SRO Series at the moment.
Yeah, good stuff. Antonio, last year you were in with the Loves, who are here behind us once again in their Merc. You're looking for a drive too, but how are the Loves going? How's this car going to go for them?
Yeah, they're going good. Obviously, not only with the Loves, I was in with Sam. Last year we had a couple of good races, so they're going good. You know, they've learnt so much, especially since the start of last year, so who knows, got a couple of races coming up. I think they're in the box seat for a good result in AM.
Sounds good. We are missing you in our Radicals call this weekend. Tommy Randall doing a good job though. Guys, if you're at home and you've got a GT3 car out there, get these boys together, get them in it. We need to see them back on track.
Thanks, Ozzy.
Thanks. I'm joined alongside Tim Miles, Brendan Leach in the car here. A podium last time out in Phillip Island. How do you build on that this weekend?
I think we're pretty confident. The car felt really, really good yesterday. Brendan had pole here last year, and he was comfortable yesterday. Didn't do a green tyre run, so we don't quite know where we stack up with everyone, but we've got our fingers crossed we'll go well.
And the strategy for this session?
Go as fast as you can.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
He's an expat Kiwi who calls Sydney home these days, Tim Miles, and the driver that he shares that car with, in Brendan Leach, is in, I think, the second week of 6 weeks straight of racing. So you better ask him what kind of time zone he's in, because next week it's Laguna Seca, I think, in California. But his dad's here as well, Barry Leach. So, they're a great combo there in the Dale ITM entry. So we roll out of pit lane. Now, one of the people we were hoping to catch up with this morning was, just before we got underway with our coverage, was Jaden Ojeda. The lap time you and I were talking about yesterday from him was nigh on record pace. He is in these kind of cars, and just generally as a racer, in scintillating form at the moment, Krause.
Scintillating is the best way to go, though he told me early in the week he's pretty keen to win something, because the last 4 races he's contested, he's been second. He did a 5-hour GT race at Suzuka in Japan last week, second. The week before that, he was at the Bathurst 6-hour, second by about 0.8 of a second. Couldn't defend his double victory there. So he's pretty keen to get a win for he and Paul Lucitti, and if they're going to do it, this could be the place. They won a 3-hour endurance race here last year. He put the thing right at the top of the pops. Yesterday was so close to setting a GT3, I guess, practice or qualifying lap record. The pace was huge. 125.9 was only 1/10 of a second off Brendan Leach's quali record from this round last year.
To Stubbsy in the pit lane, just observing a little bit of the body language of Ryan Wood there a moment ago. He kind of threw his hands up a little bit while the team on that Wolfbrook Audi were talking to him. I'm not sure if there's a little issue that maybe he has to just live with in this session. That might be worth just following up, or something didn't seem quite right. Hasn't that young racer off the back of a podium in supercars at Taupo in New Zealand? That was a good shot in the arm for him too, wasn't it? So
super. He's such a fast young driver. And before Phillip Island, when he drove with Brooksy for the first time, had not really driven a GT3 car at speed and adapted very, very quickly, as all of the pros do. So this is round 2 of the championship. It's currently led by Jackson Evans and Elliot Shute for Arise Racing, the Lance East Exotics Ferrari 296 GT3. Second in the championship, Declan Fraser and Liam Talbot for Valenti Rosso Motorsport and the Aston Martin AMR Vantage GT3. And 3 brands in the top 3, because Brock Feeney and Brad Schumacher are currently 3rd overall in points, having superbly won race 2 at the Phillip Island Grand Prix second. Leach and Miles, we heard from Milesy before the session, 4th in points. Jaden Ojeda and Paul Lucitti are 5th in the championship. Ben Schutz and Shane Woodman lead the AM class standings, with 2 AM drivers coming into this weekend. They're tied on points with Renee Gracie, who's having a good season on 44 points apiece, having both scored a win and a second at Phillip Island. 2 practice sessions and a pre-qualifying session yesterday here at Sydney Motorsport Park, and as you touched on, Rusty, The Juice was the quickest, 25.9. Unbelievably quick lap. Was a tenth of a second quicker than Brock Feeney. Ryan Wood third. And I spoke to a couple of the Audi Brigade this morning, and they're pretty confident. They feel like they're in decent shape coming into this weekend.
I think that's the reaction, certainly from Miles and Leach. They feel better relative to Phillip Island and their chances. Now, the stewards, just a little bit of a word through from Motorsport Australia Race Control. They've observed that the 66, which is Jaden Ojeda, was out of order, I think, when it left the lane. Are they giving that car a drive-through by the looks of it? So they've already moved on that. So penalties been applied here. And we should just clarify to you as well, 12 minutes 30 remaining in this session. We have 2 qualifying sessions, don't we, for 2 races for the weekend?
Correct. So the pro driver in the Pro-Am combos will qualify in this session, and that will set the grid for race 2. Qualifying number 2, the AM driver will drive, which will set the starting grid for race 1. And the AM driver will start race 1 and finish race 2. So the pros do the heavy lifting at the end of today, and then they'll start tomorrow, jump out of the car, and it's up to the AMs to bring it home, which can often set us up with that grandstand finish that we love seeing in GT World Challenge.
1 race at night, 1 race in daylight. How good?
What else do you want?
Exactly. All-rounders. We love it for the all-rounders. Already Jackson Evans starting to light up the monitor. We have, these are compressed sessions. You've got to get on with it pretty quickly. This combination are worth watching too, aren't they? So Liam Talbot, they made a huge impression in the Aston Martin at Phillip Island, and Declan Fraser, former Super 2 champion, he's a good addition, a good part of that pairing, Declan Fraser, isn't he?
And the Evans car straight back into pit lane, so did 2 sectors and then pitted, so an install lap for Arise Racing. These guys at Phillip Island were unbelievably good on the basis that they were disqualified from both qualifying sessions, so their times were rubbed out. They started at the back and raced their way to a 5th in race 1 and 2nd in race 2 off the back of some huge moments from Liam Talbot driving through the field in this car. Very, very impressive drive at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit and puts them 2nd in the championship. Stubbsy.
Reach, just to put a full stop on the Ryan Wood situation there before he went to go out for this session. Still getting used to, obviously, GT3 machinery as opposed to his supercar. Now, when the car's turned off, the light inside says ABS off, so he was worried that the ABS was not functioning on that car before he went out. But, of course, when the car was switched on, the light went off. Happy days.
Christopher ABS Stubbs there. Thank you, mate. That's great. Very good. So now Peroni starting to light up the monitor. But there's another good combination out of Phillip Island. Both he and Mark Rosser were really strong there, weren't they, in a pace sense?
Yeah, Peroni qualified 2nd, Rosser qualified 4th, so they're in the first 2 rows of the grid for both of those races there. Strong performance. The races didn't go to plan. 7th in race 1, a bunch of penalties in race 2 for some pit lane stuff that went on, and then ultimately failed to finish with a bit of damage. So it was a tough weekend for the ACM Finance car run by Team BRM out of Adelaide, the sole Adelaide-based entrant in GT World Challenge this year.
You talked about pit lane stuff there. They're a top outfit. That won't happen again. What happened to Phillip Island? No way. They run a very good ship there. So heads to the line. Let's have a little look at this, because both sectors have been good. That should put him to the top, does it? Yes, with a 1:27.922.
Still plenty of time to come. This Pirelli tyre likes a gradual build-up of temperature and pressure, and you often need 3 laps to build up to a point where it's going to produce the ultimate lap time. Track temperature in the mid-20s in this session. It dropped quite significantly from 27 in the Porsche race to 23 at the start of the session, but it will have come up since because of this bright sunshine beaming down at Sydney Motorsport Park. We talked about that very sexy lap time set by Jaden Ojeda last night. Would seem unlikely, though not impossible, that they do that in these conditions. This track is so notoriously fickle for changing across the course of the day. And if you get sunlight and UV on it, it's often way slower than it is at the cool of night when there's no sun on it, but still a little bit of track temperature.
Is that like this is election day here in Australia, is that like your campaign bid for more night racing?
Yes, for more night racing, absolutely. Beautiful. Sign me up. Vote 1 night racing in GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. Peroni hustling the car through that change of direction. These cars carry so much downforce. You talk about that through turn 1. On brand new tyres, in good conditions, it will be flat, absolutely flat. And the minimum apex speed at turn 1 is near as makes a difference, 250 kilometres an hour in one of these cars.
26.72 for Peroni, so he goes even quicker and has 0.5 in the pocket over Declan Fraser. Now we're keeping an eye on Ryan Wood at the same time in car 88, just on the monitor. That's the Aston Martin that we were talking about before. Declan Fraser at the wheel of that car at the moment. It's currently third, but Ryan Wood was the fastest we've seen through Sector 1, so that's just been eclipsed. Peroni is going on with this. He's gone even quicker in the first sector. Let's watch the end of this lap for the Wolfbrook Audi. Dances through the final part, and that's upset the... You need to carry that momentum through those final few corners. Arresting that speed, got checked up, that'll hurt. That will hurt the lap time.
Big lap. Tony D'Alberto, the Wall Racing Lamborghini, goes second. He's about to be bumped down, though. This lap from Wood will put him right to the top with a 26.25. So they're edging closer and closer to the 25s. But this has been a very big swing from Wall Racing. Much happier with the Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2 this weekend. And D'Alberto is punching on, but Peroni going on with it as well. Decent middle sector, though, dropped a few tenths relative to Ryan Wood, who has gone quickest. Wood qualified 8th at Phillip Island, so this has been a huge improvement so far.
That final sector was still a personal best. I thought that was going to really wound the performance, and he's lit up the monitor again. Now fastest in Sector 1, so Ryan Wood's going on with it as well. What have we got? About 6.5 minutes left in this session. An electric start to qualifying for GT World Challenge powered by AWS.
We're yet to see the Arise Racing Ferraris fire with Jackson Evans and Jordan Love. They're currently 11th and 12th position, yet to set a representative lap time. D'Alberto goes quickest for the Lambo by 11/100ths of a second.
Brock Feeney now, fastest in the first sector. That's why we're watching the 888 entry here, the Kelso electrical entry that he shares with Brad Schumacher, whose smile was so wide when he stepped out in the sprinkling rain at Phillip Island on Sunday. At the last round of the series, it meant so much to him. Let's see if this second sector, are we about to dip into the 25s or certainly get close to it? Middle part of the lap, not as sharp as we would have thought, but this might elevate Feeney from the second row to maybe the front row provisionally.
Brendan Leach goes 5th. The middle sector is currently held by Jackson Evans, who goes fastest at a 26.0. in the Ferrari, and off goes the KFC Audi. It's off the road, Matt Stupas. Brock Feeney, can he complete the lap? He does before any interruption to the session. Feeney goes to third, 26.25. He's just 0.19 away from the top spot. This is turn 1.
And that is such a fast corner. Some of the competitors in this class have been endeavouring to take it flat, such is the aero support in these machines. So that gives you an idea. What are we talking there? 240 Ks an hour or thereabouts at the apex.
Won't give away who it was, but we have had confirmation that someone saw 247 kilometres an hour as the minimum speed through turn 1 on a brand new tyre.
That is wild.
It's awesome, isn't it? It's so cool. These cars are unbelievable racing cars. They've got so much downforce. They've got so much grip from the Pirelli tyre, and they are so quick and exciting racing cars to watch. Now, well-timed laps. Jackson Evans got in a 26.0 on his one flyer. His teammate Jordan Love in the 77 car he shares with Stephen White has gone 5th at a 26.5. So they timed that lap to absolute perfection, because the clock is going to tick down at the end of this.
I reckon we didn't fully see the best from Brendan Leach just yet. He just put in a personal best in Sector 1. So car 7 is currently 7th in the order, but we know there is more pace in that machine. So red flag conditions here in qualifying 1.
Now, the other story that we might need to follow up on is our boy T. Randall, P15, was on a lap, unable to complete it. It wasn't going to be on pole, but it would put him somewhere in the back half of the top 10. But right now, Randall unable to complete the lap as the clock ticks down under red flag conditions. I wonder if he's going to be able to get a lap time in.
Jaden Ojeda sits 14th at the moment as well. So, I mean, there's all sorts of... Oh, no.
That's an even bigger story,
yeah.
Rusty, with Ojeda being 14th. That's huge. Rene Gracie currently quickest of the AM cars. 10th outright at a 28.2.
Ford Ranger Raptor recovery team who do such a good job for us here are already on hand with the KFC Audi.
That's a big story, Rusty. Ojeda missing out on a lap. And it's part of the gamble you take by saving your fast lap to the very end of the session. Yes, it might pay off in terms of track evolution. The track will be better at the end of the session than it will at the start, obviously. But it could cost you, because if you get a late red flag, it could be all over.
Dragging him out of the car.
So I think urging him, just with the smoke starting to come from the rear of the car there, to jump out fairly promptly.
Throw to Stubbsy.
Okay, let's go to Chris.
Yeah, Rusty, thank you. Gary Higgins here. Look, we were wanting to chat to him to welcome the KFC car back to the GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS. So first of all, Gary, great to see you, but this is not what we wanted to see. Can you give us an update there?
Yeah, no, look, he's fine. He's out of the car, he's fine. We'll see what the car is, but I suspect I'm not going to be driving in the next 10 minutes. That's okay. But look, it's great to be back. We've been out for a couple of years. We're a little older and wiser and taking a little bit of time to get back, and Matt was on it. He was starting to do his times and ran wide, and we'll see what that means.
Gary, we can't have the GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS without the KFC car out there. It's an iconic car. You just love being part of this series, don't you?
Well, that's why we're here. We're older and wiser. We're here for a good time. We're not necessarily going to be at the front, but we're going to have a good time and good fun.
Well, we hope you can get it repaired, and we'll see you out there over the weekend at some point.
You will. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary.
So that is it. We're hearing for qualifying one. So the big scalps, if you will, Ojeda and Randall, unfortunately have not, with that red flag, the timing of it, have not been able to stitch a lap together. They're 14th and 15th respectively. Pole in qualifying one goes to Jackson Evans for Arise Racing. Tony D'Alberto, what a turnaround from Phillip Island. Great work for Wall Racing in the Lamborghini, and Brock Feeney in the top three.
D'Alberto, man of the match, mine in that session. That was a huge, huge lap. George King in there as well. Good performance of Sergio Perez, the 55 guy of Valmont Racing. Highlights of a qualifying session. The Arise cars went out early. I wonder if to road some tyres for qualifying two, potentially, when the AM driver jumps in, because they pitted immediately and bolted a second brand new set of new tyres on to go for it at the end. And it paid off just. This guy was fast. Alex Peroni had a really good crack earlier in the ACMF car for Team BRM. He ended up the session in 6th place. Declan Fraser, again fast in the Aston Martin. Ultimately missed out on pole by 1.2 seconds and ends up 9th. So not quite the return there. And Ryan Wood, this was a big, big moment, but he was able to translate that still into a very good lap time.
We'll start on the second row in there, or managed to get a spot on the second row with that effort. So ends up finishing P4. Here's the man of the match effort that Krause was talking about. Tony D'Alberto puts the unmistakable Lamborghini Huracan on the front row. And he'll share with Adrian Dietz. And then this is what triggered the red flag. Pretty wild ride for Matt Stupas, who's ended up qualifying 13th in that KFC Audi and was hopeful of bolting together a quicker lap. The crew were very quickly on scene. He's okay, but some work, unfortunately, for the team to do now.
That put out the red flag. Matt okay, car unsure yet.
Yeah.
The net result, Jackson Evans grabs pole position. The second for that Arise Racing Ferrari in 3 qualifying sessions this year. So Ferrari on top in qualifying 1 in GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. The best news is we get to do that all again. Qualifying 2 is coming your way from Sydney Motorsport Park here at the Shannons Speed Series.
Welcome back. We are in the thick of the action of the GT World Challenge powered by AWS qualifying, and I'm pleased to be joined alongside Tony Alberto, finished P2 in that first qualifying session. How satisfying was that?
Yeah, it's really satisfying considering where we were at Phillip Island a few weeks ago. Team have been working pretty hard, and it's a good little result for them. It's the fastest the car's ever been around Sydney Motorsport Park. So regardless of whether others were on a lap when the red flag came out, I don't care. We set a PB for our team, and it's a nice reward to start at the front.
What was working so well for you there?
I think we just stuck to our plan. You know, I did question the strategy of going out the gate just on green tyres and going for it, but it worked out for us well this time, so I'll take it and run with it as hard as we can.
And night racing to look forward to as well, starting from P2 on the grid. How exciting is that prospect?
It's going to be exciting tonight. I mean, cars under lights, you know, the brakes are glowing, the sparks coming off underneath, so it's going to be a real excitement.
Oh, good luck and thanks for your time.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Over to you, Stubbsy.
Thanks, Bella. Just realising here with Thomas Randall that if he had stayed in the commentary box, he would be starting the race from the same position as he is anyway. And usually when you're starting from the rear of the grid, it means that you've been involved in some sort of moment, something to talk about. But no, just caught out by the unlucky timing of a red flag, Thomas.
That's pretty much sums it up there, Stubbsy. We were just doing warm-up procedures. I came in, got the heat soaked through the front tyres, went back out and was literally just starting my first 80%er, just to warm the tyres up, and then, yeah, red flag. So when you've got these short sessions, obviously that's a risk, and yeah, both Jada and myself will be 14th and 15th tomorrow, so I'm going to have the whole back row to myself, and what a way to introduce myself to the GT World Challenge Australia.
Well, it means that you can do some overtaking and put on a show, so we'll be sure to make sure that we highlight the 44 as you do that. Tyres? Like, I don't know, can we somehow put a silver lining on this?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we didn't use the tyres at all, so but it's great for Marcel, so he'll get a green set now, and he'll just run the whole session, and it's great being working with Marcel this weekend, and he's learning lots and really enjoying it, and the pressure's on him now to get us up the front for tonight's race. So I just said, look, hey, I'll warm the car up, I've warmed the brakes up for you, so she's ready to rock and roll.
KFC has done the job on you, Thomas Randall, not for the first time in your life, mate. Bad luck, thanks for taking on the chin, we'll catch up again later.
Thanks, I'll see you on the grid walk.
Thanks, joined alongside Jaden O'Deja now, and a fantastic touch yesterday. You were very quick in pre-qualifying, but unfortunately that red flag just came at the wrong time for you there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Thomas and I look like a couple of chumps, really. But oh well, you take a risk with strategy and warming up the tyres, and you always know that these things happen. So it is what it is. We'll have some fun on Sunday's race, but now it's on for Paul for qualifying, and hopefully can get us a good result.
And starting further back on the grid from qualifying, how do you manage that?
I don't know. Let's see. Just look forward. Obviously, there's a couple of cars that you've got to watch out for in the first couple of laps, and it's a hard track to pass with these cars with the downforce and the aero wash. So see what we can do and how far forward we can get. But yeah, it makes the rest of the weekend pretty tough.
Oh, well, good luck with it. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks.
So a little bit dejected there. I actually felt that Tony D'Alberto didn't. You know, given the result that they had, I thought it was quite positive. Tony sounded a little flat there. Hopefully there's they're all okay there at Wall Racing. So we get to go again. That's the great news here. We're not far away from the second part of qualifying. And as some of the competitors just detailed there, the previous qualifying session, which is wrapped up under red flags there, helps us establish the grid for tomorrow's race. We are about to set the grid for tonight, Kralsey, aren't we? So it's going to be and that'll be a fascinating session for sure.
Can't wait for it, Rusty. Another 15 minutes GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS, coming your way next.
Welcome back to Sydney Motorsport Park for the Shannons Speed Series Round 2. We're going to recap a little bit more from that dramatic first qualifying session for GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. A couple of very likely looking Kiwis down here. Ryan Wood, how did it impact you? Because you were absolutely ragging it out there.
Yeah, I probably got the good end of the deal, but yeah, a little bit gutted, stuffed my lap up, and yeah, unfortunately didn't get a clear lap, but so did so many others, you know, so we probably got the good end of the deal, but looking forward to how Steve goes in the Wolfbrook Motorsport Audi R8 and see how he goes.
We were watching one of your laps and you were absolutely flying, but it went a little astray, but you still managed to pull a pretty good lap time from it.
Yeah, pretty surprised that the lap time was still what it was with a huge mistake in the last sector. So yeah, excited for the race and yeah, going to cheer on Steve now and see if he can put a good lap down.
You've been a busy man, but I think the only man that's maybe been busier is Brendan Leach. 6 weeks in a row of racing. This is week 2, mate. Detail for us where you've been, where you're going, and what the hell you're driving.
Yeah, well, last week testing in Indy, and next week we're racing in Laguna Seca in America, and then off to Shanghai, then some more testing in America and Watkins Glen, and then QR for round 3 of GT World Challenge.
A busy man for you, starting from 7th, so you got caught out a bit by that red flag.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, to be honest, I think everybody in the field didn't get the rhythm going that they wanted to. So, you know, I'll just open page 2 of the excuse book. And anyway, we're starting from 7th and we'll just have a dip. It's a really fun track and the Audi's gone really well here this weekend. Last year we were super fast here, so I'm sure Woody and Brock and myself will be cooking later on today.
All right, well, cars are about to roll. We'll get to commentary. Good luck going to you, boys.
Thanks. Cheers.
Well done, Chris. And while that interview was happening, you could see the KFC Audi being rolled into the background there of the Melbourne Performance Centre garage. So we'll follow that story for you and just get a sense of the damage. When you saw the replay of it, the way the nose sort of pitched at this point right here, in fact, into, you know, some of the undulation in the grass there. So there you can see some of the damage. And then also, too, you know, we need to do the right thing when we have potential flame, fire, smoke, whatever, extinguish that safely. But it is a huge amount of work when the retardant gets inside all of the components. That's a big job.
Yeah, they'll be cleaning that out of the KFC Audi for the next month and a half. Probably they'll find it there when they do a rebuild on the car in a year and a half, I'm sure. Running in the trophy class, the only entry in the trophy class this weekend. So they'll start from the back. They'll still score points for their category. They want to be in and among the AM competitors at the very least. 2 guys that have raced together a lot in the KFC Audi. Matt Stupas out of that race, unfortunately, as we roll out for qualifying 2. So these are the AM drivers in the Pro-Am combination. These will start race 1. So we're going to see some moves in race 2 because T. Randall will be starting from the back of the field. Jay Ojeda will be starting from the back of the field. But this is for tonight. This is the night race. So there's a little bit more importance on this now to set the grid for the opener this weekend. Under the lights, you'll catch that coverage on 7+ this evening from Sydney Motorsport Park. So qualifying 2, the AM drivers at Phillip Island last time out. Well, it was Elliot Shute who did the job for Arise Racing. Second place in qualifying there was Paul Lucitti in the Realtor car, which was an outstanding job. And then Tim Miles did a nice job. Correction, it was Brad Schumacher qualified 3rd. Sergio Perez qualified 2nd. I was looking at the wrong column. That was the race results. So they're the drivers to look for in this one. The other telling thing right now, the Brad Schumacher Brock Feeney Audi qualified very well in every race so far this year. So too the Jackson Evans and Elliott Shute car. There's no coincidence that they're 1st and 3rd in the championship. We're talking about this morning, Rusty, in Monochrome GT4 Australia. The more evenly matched your drivers are, the better chance you're going to have of achieving success in this championship.
Just need to find what page the excuse was for Thomas Randall in the growing excuse book.
Well, I'm pretty certain he gets docked his pay for today.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. Top 5, I think, was the over-under for that, I feel.
Okay. Cannot get over, particularly when they come through that section there around that left-hander. If they venture wide of the mark, how violent it is on some of the, you know, the aero on the car and so on. They really do get knocked around through that part of the track. Here's the Kelso electrical entry. Gee, it was good at Phillip Island last time out. We got that sprinkle of rain toward the end of the race. That really mixed up the action, didn't it? Already Elliott Shute starting to light up the timing monitor, but we're Got a long way to go in this qualifying session. Maybe it's what's uppermost in their minds is we can't afford a repeat of what happened in session 1 here. Get out, get something in the bank that's solid straight away.
So Arise Racing did an install lap in with the pro driver with Jackson Evans. They were out, he went purple in the middle sector, peeled off into pit lane, sat and thought about it for a minute and then went out. Got that lap in about 30 seconds before the red flag flew. But often the strategy can be a little bit different for your AM. Sometimes they'll give them more laps, more running. And that's the difference. When you're not a fully professional race car driver, when it's not your day job, it might take a little bit longer to get it switched on to that ultimate deliver 110% to put the thing on pole kind of lap. So often they'll give them just a little bit more time in the session to build up to that. If you're a pro like Jackson Evans, you can go out and know that on lap 2, on your flying lap, you're going to deliver and you can absolutely nail it. Sometimes it might take the AMs just a little bit longer to build up to that level. So Arise keeping Elliott Shute out, and he's hustling already in the 26 car for Lance East Exotics.
134.46 is the number so far from Tim Miles by 1.1, but it's very, very early days in qualifying 2. 10 minutes remaining in this one.
Mark Rosser, first sub 130, still plenty of time to find. And we've seen increasingly as well in this category that the margin between the pro driver qualifying time and the AM driver qualifying time is getting smaller. So they call it a delta, but that delta between the pro and the AM is now often sub 1 second, if not even closer. And for a part-time driver who does this for, yes, they're intensely competitive. Yes, it's enjoyable for them, but they're fiercely, fiercely driven to succeed. For them to get within a second of a fully paid factory race car driver is outstandingly good.
To the line comes Liam Talbot, who does a 29.01 shoot with the marker, a 27.44. So that's a good lap from Elliott Shute to open proceedings here. That's a little tricky. So you're watching Schumacher, who's quite close to the Mercedes AMG. Is the risk there through one in particular? You're in that dirty, that disturbed air. It comes through off the aero of the car in front in a fashion that's not kind to your car, and it unsettles it.
Yeah, and then it's going to be even worse through here. And Brad's got out of it. He's lifted out because through these corners, the drivers also, this is where you get that understeer where you lose the air on the front of the car. It wants to push across the corner, overheats the front tyres. So Brad's done the right thing, backed out of it. This lap wasn't going to count anyway. Find your own little bit of racetrack. 15 cars out there. You should be able to find a little segment of the 3.93 Ks of Sydney Motorsport Park to do the job. Yeah, he's going on with it.
Yes, sorry. It's a 27.44. He may dip into the 26s here at the moment. So this is really impressive for Arise Racing. And maybe that's a little highlight of what Richard was saying before about, you know, working alongside Jackson Evans. And you know, we know his history. We've talked a bit about that in the coverage. Elliott Shute. He's ended up with a 26.86. Nice work.
We talked about that delta. That's 0.8. Only 0.8 of a second slower than Jackson Evans in the same car about 20 minutes ago.
Well played.
Big lap by the young West Aussie who's come out of esports racing and won a driver search contest run by Arise Racing's Radical Cup team. And a couple of years in Radical, super competitive in that category, and moved into GT last year. Couple of wins, solid season. This is year 2, and he and Jackson Evans looking to deliver championship-style performances across the season. Renee Gracie goes to second, 27.7 for the OnlyFans Audi. Top of the AM class by an enormous margin, but P2 outright. Big lap. Good luck chasing that 26.8. That is a monster lap time from Elliott Shute.
Exactly. Just listening to the car bottom there as it comes through the left-hander and works its way around the back of Corporate Hill now. Back we go. There's the OnlyFans Audi, currently P2. Rest of our AM competitors as well. So it's Elliott Shute currently fastest with a 26.86 from Renee Gracie.
Involved in a boxing contest last weekend was Renee, and spent 5 months training for it. And she said core strength, and it fixed some whiplash issues she had in her neck from a massive go-karting crash when she was a junior coming up through the ranks. And It's massively improved her fitness, and she said that there's a lot of transferable skills, as crazy as it sounds, into her racing program. So she's sharp at the moment. 27.7, it's only second off the lap time Elliott Shute has set. Brad Schumacher jumps up to second position in the Kelso Electrical Audi, the 1 minute 27.34. Still 0.6 of a second away from Elliott.
Few changes in behind there too. Marcel Zalua has just jumped to position 4 now, so it drops Renee Gracie down to 5th, and Sergio Perez he's lit up the timing monitor, fastest we've seen in Sector 1, currently 3rd in this session. Watch for some potential improvement as well from Liam Talbot down in 6th.
Very good lap from Sergio Perez and the Guy Valmont Racing Tigani entry. Strong performance at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit for that combination. He's such a cool, laid-back dude, is Serge. Qualified on the front row, and he's really happy to have his old mate Marcel Zalua. So they used to race each other in Porsches, and it got a little bit feisty at times, and they decided the safer bet was to drive together in GT cars. So they've been sharing the driving duties, but through business and their work at Gaia Valmont, which is the business that they're partners in, they've sort of split their programs a little bit, and now they're racing each other again. Right now, 3rd and 4th, as Perez comes across the line. This has been a decent lap. Gave away a bit of time in the middle sector. It doesn't improve in the final either, so remains 3rd. But the comedy involved if they start side by side, and the nerves if they are wheel to wheel into turn 2 tonight, get a camera on that straight away.
Marcel has just jumped to 3rd with that lap time, so it continues. He moves ahead. He moves ahead of the 55 in the process. So still with the fastest time, Elliott Shute with a 1:26.68. That is hugely impressive. Renee Gracie goes back to 2nd now with a 1 minute 27.29. Very handy lap time. Brad Schumacher completes the top 3, and he is starting to light up the timing as well.
This is going to be fun at Tigani. Good luck, Nathan Tigani, managing this later on if your boys start line astern. Zalua 4th, Perez 5th at the moment, and looking to start another lap. Brad Schumacher, purple 1st sector in the Kelso Electrical Audi. He's 3rd at the moment. He needs to find 0.05 of a second to go to 2nd and get on the front row for tonight's race, but he needs to find 0.6 of a second to catch Elliott Shute, who's still out there, still circulating, looking to protect that pole position if he needs to. Middle sector, oh, he's given away 0.6, Brad Schumacher, in that middle sector in the Audi relative to the Ferrari, which seems really strong through all the fast flowing stuff around the back end of Sydney Motorsport Park. So let's see, this should be an improvement for Schumacher. It should put him 2nd. He's about to cross the line, and it does. 1 minute 27.10. Brad Schumacher goes to P2, 0.4 away from Elliott Shute. So good final sector for the man from Bathurst. He puts himself on the front row provisionally. But Gracie going after it again, and right back in front. P2, Renee.
A 1:26.79. So great work, and she gets back ahead of Brad Schumacher in the process. So off the back of that boxing that Richard's talking about a moment ago, dialed in here at Sydney Motorsport Park. This is quality stuff. 26.79, only 0.117 off Elliott Schute's lap time.
That's a ripper lap, and I suppose the best thing is that after her experience last weekend in the ring, certainly going to get the elbows out at turn 1, guaranteed. That lap against the pros is only 0.04 behind the lap time Brendan Leach did to go 7th in the pro session. Very, very big lap from Renee Gracie, the 3rd year of her racing comeback. Started in trophy class in the older Gen Audi and then moved up into this car last year with the great Paul Stokely alongside, driving solo this year, and goes to 2nd, topping the AM class. And all of a sudden, Elliott Shute, who had 0.6 on the field, now has 0.1 and might be just a little nervous watching on from the Arise Racing garage. Although he's still in the car, the team will be watching on.
Tell you what, there's a few of them in really close company here as we get toward the end of this session. 2 minutes to go. So what are we talking? Marcel Zalua with a 27.37. Perez at 27.51, Tim Miles at 27.88, and then Liam Talbot at 27.9. If a few of those guys can find some tenths, that will prove maybe the difference of jumping up a row in the starting order. So there's the Aston Martin heading toward the line now. Elliott Shute remains on provisional pole with 1:40 to go in this second qualifying session.
Liam Talbot 7th at the moment, 2nd in the championship, reigning champion, number 1 on the door of the Valente Rosso Shannons Aston Martin Vantage GT3. Mark Rosser went 8th then, only 1.3 seconds back though in the ACMF number 268 entry. So not that far off. It's so tightly packed, the AM division in GT World Challenge.
Rock Feeney to the right of your screen, Brendan Leach on the left, they watch on. Just taking a look, the numbers aren't lighting up at the moment for Liam Talbot, so still in 7th, not much time, got the lights flashing, so...
Well, I think by this point of the session, all the goodness has gone out of the Pirelli, brand new set of Pirelli tyres that these cars would have started the session on, and Shute pit, so he's done. They're not going to get any more gain. That's the problem. You can circulate as much as you like. Once you've taken that good life out of your tyre, it's not going to deliver the lap times you need, and this place is brutal on the tyres.
He doesn't need to do any more than that. That's, I mean, you talked about the Delta before. That's a really impressive effort from Elliott Shute. Good story, and he looks like, at the moment at least, with 20 seconds to go, has pole. So let's have a little look. Marcel Zalua's in the pit lane as well. Woodman's brought the Mercedes AMG to the lane as well. A few of them have bailed out at the end of this session. Does there no gain for Liam Talbot, but he's been able to get there before the checkered flag. But to your point, tough place on tyres generally, and at this stage of the game, you would think the best is of that goodness is gone from the rubber.
And Sergio Perez still on a lap. Personal best first sector, but that loss often comes in the middle sector through the long loaded corners. He's still up at the moment. I wonder if car 55 can improve, and the carrot dangling at the end of the stick for Serge is that his best mate and co-driver Marcel Zalua is 0.14 of a second further up the road in position number 4. So will there be some improvement for car 55? Well, I tell you what, he improved his lap time. He did a 27.48, didn't improve his position. So in the Gaia Valmont Racing inter-team battle / war, right now Marcel Zalua 1, Sergio Perez 0, and that will be controversial. I don't think Marcel expected to out-qualify Sergio this weekend.
What do all the good racing drivers say? Yeah, but only qualifying.
It's only qualifying. Racing matters. Racing matters. He'll roll out T. Randall and see what happens. And George King will drive with Sergio Perez. That's going to be a good, fun battle. Little subplot within it. I tell you what, that lap from Elliott Shute is outstanding. So almost exactly 0.6 of a second slower than his pro Jackson Evans. So the 26 Ferrari on pole for both races this weekend. That is huge from the car that comes into the weekend leading the championship.
When you want a combo to be, solid together, you want them to be close, and that's a really good effort by Elliott Shute in the second of our qualifying sessions for GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS Arise Racing. It's been a good start to the weekend for them. We'll go racing under lights in this class tonight here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Congratulations to Renee Gracie too. A lap that was, in the end, only 0.117 shy of Elliott Shute's best effort. Brad Schumacher off the back of the success at Phillip Island in the top 3, and Marcel Zalua versus Sergio getting the upper hand at least in qualifying. Tim Miles rounding out the top 6.
Good lap from Milesy. That puts them in the mix with Brendan Leach to drive that car. Liam Talbot second in the championship, 7th. Rosser, Lucchetti and Steve Brooks rounding out the top 10 with Ryan Wood. Let's go and hear from some of the pace setters in qualifying for GT World Challenge, and here's Chris Stubbs.
Thank you. Just here with the guys. They're just debriefing, having a quick chat about how they went, but we have some Pirelli Pole Award interviews to have. First of all, Elliott, I'll start with you. Congratulations. That was an outstanding performance. 2 from 2. You're having quite some season.
Yeah, it was great. This feels like it. It was a proper one. And yeah, it was. It felt like a relatively good lap. I made a mistake on the last corner, so I was a little bit nervous until right up to the end of the session. But yeah, really happy to get the pole.
Jackson, for you. Congratulations as well, pole position for your qualifying session. It's been pretty wild out there.
Yeah, look, we obviously didn't get many laps, so I was really happy to get that one lap in, and felt like it was pretty decent for a first flyer. But really stoked for Elliot. He put in a lot of good laps then, and he really improved from last night's practice. So it's a credit to the team. Everything feels like it's on rails at the moment. So see how we go tonight.
So leading the championship coming in here this weekend after a great performance at Phillip Island, what's the Ferrari doing well? Elliot, come back in. You've got to get some of the credit as well. What's Elliot doing well in your eyes?
I think he's just adapting to the changes that we're making really well, and the feedback is making sense. It correlates quite well between us, so it makes the job for Adam hopefully a little bit easier. But every time we get in the car, there's minor improvements, and it's just giving us confidence. So I feel like every time we hit the track, we're feeling better about ourselves and just trying to extract the most out of the performance.
Elliot, cast your eyes forward to tonight. It's the final event on our program for today, under the bright lights at Sydney Motorsport Park. What's your approach to it, leading them off?
I think I'll just keep it the same, but it's just going to be a little bit darker. It's really special to race here under lights, so I'm looking forward to it. And when the car's feeling so nice, I think it's going to be fun.
Great job to both of you. Well done.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.
It's going to be the same, just a little bit darker. It sums it up. Beautifully said by Elliot Shute, who's got pole position for tonight's opening race.
Highlights for you of the second one. Qualifying for GT World Challenge powered by AWS at Sydney Motorsport Park. Glorious Saturday afternoon. Temps on track around the mid-20s. And in search of pole position they went. The only fans Audi in the end of Renee Gracie, second. Misses out on the top spot by 0.117 of a second. The Lamborghini was certainly good in the hands of Tony D'Alberto in the first qualifying session. A bit tougher for Adrian Dietz in session 2, ended up in 14th place. Here's Liam Talbot, who did a lot of laps in the Aston Martin, the Shannons backed Aston Martin during the session. He would ultimately qualify in 7th place. Pole, though, would go to Elliot Shute in the Ferrari off the back of a great job by his teammate Jackson Evans in session 1.
The championship leaders in very, very good touch coming into round 2 of GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. What a start to the weekend it's been here at Stubbsy Motorsport Park. It is Stubbsy Motorsport Park. It's Stubbsy and Bella's Motorsport Park. Let's wrap it up with them now.
Thanks, Kralsey and Rusty. Yes, Stubbsy, a dominant performance here. The Evans and Shute team, they're looking ominous heading into the race.
Look, they sure are, and isn't it fitting that you've got a Ferrari, a prancing horse here at Sydney Motorsport Park, a European-style fast and flowing circuit, but it really sets things up for tomorrow as well, doesn't it, now, with some of the big names starting from the rear of the grid. But these cars under lights tonight. We've got a 1 hour break now, but we can't wait to get cracking. And it's not only GT World Challenge Australia as well. We've got all our other categories tonight, Bella.
Yes, Ferrari and Porsche as well under lights later this evening. But yes, we're going to take an hour officials break and get ready for an evening of exciting racing here at Sydney Motorsport Park. We'll be back very soon.